Welcome back to the Media Lounge at the 24th Annual Wild and Scenic Film Festival right here in Nevada City in California. I'm your host for this segment, Kimberly Ewing, and I am just so inspired for every film that I get to witness. And we've got John Cannon is no exception. He is the writer of nonprofit Mongabay, and he has two movies, The Clearing and what's the second one?
Thailand Sea Nomads,
That's
or
right.
Born to Dive, I think is one of the titles that we used.
So welcome, John.
Yeah, thanks, Kim.
Is this your first time to the Wild and Scenic Film Festival?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
You know, I always got to experience it when it comes on tour, like
Yes.
to Quincy, and
Right.
which is not far from my home, but it's a great privilege to be here.
We're so excited that you're here. Your two films are really interesting, quite political and intense. One is in Cambodia called The Clearing. Tell us a little bit about that movie.
Sure. So in 2024, 5 activists who work for an environmental group called Mother Nature Cambodia were sentenced to prison, 6 to 8 year sentences for their activism, basically. They were charged with plotting against the government, and then one of the people was charged with insulting the king. But really, these charges stem from their activism to protect their national parks, protect their forests from being sold off to the highest bidder, and that sort of thing. So.
And I mean, it follows a Cambodian activist named, how do you say his name?
Chandaravut is the kind of the main activist. He's 26 years old, I think, right now. So young people.
He was really young in the film.
Yeah. And you know, the charges, some of his first charges were when he was, I think, probably still a teenager. But
wow.
This is somebody who cares deeply about his home in Cambodia and wants to see it protected. So.
I know, and there's an organization like you said, Mother Nature Cambodia, and it said 80% of the land was now being taken to build airports and hotels and casinos. Mm-hmm. And so obviously the people of Cambodia would want to fight that.
Yeah, I mean, the justification from the government is that this is development that will bring jobs and income and things like that to communities. Unfortunately, like a lot of places around the world, that money doesn't reach the ground. You know, it often is captured at very high levels by people who are already extremely wealthy, who have a lot of influence with the government. So it's unfortunately not surprising, perhaps, that this was the result of the trial, and that, you know, their appeals process right now, as we were able to talk to some of their representatives this past week, their appeals process seems to be continually delayed by the government.
Wow.
So they're still stuck in these prisons kind of scattered all around Cambodia, which is not known for having great conditions in its prisons to begin with. So
I know, and that was disturbing. As an audience member, I was watching their faces right before they knew what was going to happen. And they kind of knew their destiny at that point. They knew that what they were doing was going to get them into trouble. Mm. How are they doing, like, just in spirit-wise? Have you guys had contact at all with them?
Yeah, I mean, so we have through the filmmakers. You know, I should say the filmmakers on this film are expats, but this, you know, they represent sort of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the Cambodians who are involved in the making of this film. Some of whom we could name and some of whom we couldn't because of safety issues. So what we've heard is that, you know, they're struggling. The conditions aren't great. They need money to pay for things like sheets and you know, like food and things like that in the prisons. It's very difficult. One of the prisoners has a young family.
Oh, no.
And so it's difficult for them to travel to the prison where he's being held.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I will say what we've heard is the government has reached out to them to negotiate and say, you know, if you apologize and if you agree not to do your activism anymore, we can let you go, or we can talk about suspension of sentence or something like that. And they refused that. They say we feel like we have this right. That's, you know, it should be a universal human right to speak on behalf of our environment.
Right.
Their actions were not violent. And, you know, I think, to me, that's the hope of the film, I guess, is that they're holding strong.
They're holding strong, and with this exposure of this film and more people understanding the organization Mother Nature Cambodia, and that you can go there and check out what's the latest. They puts a flashlight on what this issue is and
Sure.
how it. Cambodia is a place where people travel. I've been to Cambodia, and you want to make sure that there's beauty, and people like these activists are helping retain that and fight for it.
Yeah.
So
it's a wonderfully welcoming country,
Oh,
you know,
it
in a
is.
lot of ways. That it's a beautiful place to visit.
Yes.
You know, I've done some reporting from there myself, and unfortunately, what we've seen, you know, we've had a few reporters there stationed over the years, and the noose is sort of tightening when it comes to freedom of expression
Yeah.
for both journalists and these activist groups who represent, you know, I think they genuinely feel that they represent the concerns of a lot of Cambodians about their environment and about what's happening to it. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on Mother Nature Cambodia?
Yeah, Mother Nature Cambodia, and then Amnesty International has
Okay.
taken up their cause as well.
Good.
So people can, you know, people can go to their Right for Rights campaign, which
Okay.
WRITE.
Okay, good.
You can see Mother Nature, Cambodia there, and help support and write letters and things like that to people in power.
Yeah, paying attention is part of our job now.
I think so. I
It
think so.
is.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Manga Bay, where you
Sure.
are a staff writer.
Yeah, Manga Bay is a nonprofit newsroom. We're kind of sort of scattered around the world. We have reporters in
I love that.
30 countries, I think, at this point. 130 editorial staff or something thereabouts.
Fantastic.
We've been in existence since 1999, so 26, 27 years now. And
Doing the good work.
trying, you know. I think there's a lot to cover, and you know, it's inspiring to come to a place like Wydon Scenic and see what other folks are doing and get ideas and connections from that. So
I know, in the intersection of storytelling with complex policy and environmental issues, they do a pretty good job.
I think so. There's a good cross section here, and it's, you know, it covers some beats that I cover and some that are completely foreign to me and just as inspiring.
It is inspiring. And with that, let's talk about your second movie. It's in Thailand, another precious South Pacific or Southeast Asian country.
Yeah.
Tell us the name of that one and what that one's about.
So this one, we call it Born to Dive, or Thailand's Last Sea Nomads. It's about the Moken people who have traditionally lived along the Andaman Sea coast in Myanmar and Thailand. They're somewhat stateless in the fact that Thailand does not see them as Thai citizens.
And they're in that real persnickety
yeah,
Myanmar with
exactly.
Thailand kind of
Yeah.
ambiguous place.
Yeah, and traditionally they've sort of traveled from island to island, living off the sea, and it's a relatively sustainable way of life because they'll fish an area, and then as the resources get depleted, they move on, allow that area to recover, and then return after some time. That's not really possible these days. So a project that's come up for them has been to collect some of the plastic that's washed up on shore. It was pretty successful for a short time. Unfortunately, the price of plastic dropped, so it no longer became financially viable, and with the decline in foreign aid that supports a lot of the NGOs that help do this work,
Right.
that's sort of taken the bottom out on that project, unfortunately. But it's, they're still there, and they are now working with some American artists to do sort of an art collective where they do storytelling through their art. So they're persisting.
They're
and-
adapting. I
Yeah.
mean, from the film, I remember seeing it. They just are trying to find their way and make meaning in their life with purpose and dignity. And,
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, all of us can respect that, that they're trying to find their way. Do you think they'll ever be able to get back out into the seas?
You know, it's hard to see that, and I think part of the issue is the dependence that Thailand, especially, has on tourism.
Yeah, I know, for sure.
You know, because that can impinge upon where they can go.
Right.
So it's one of those, thought points where, as a tourist, when we go to a place like Thailand, we have to think about our impact on these sorts of communities.
Right,
So,
right. And volunteerism is coming up into Thailand and Cambodia more that I've been hearing, and maybe that's the next option. Is if you decide to go to Thailand, maybe be a part of the solution there, cleaning up the beaches or paying attention to what the people in the villages need and want and desire, and do that as a responsible traveler.
Yeah, sure. I think it's worth going beyond TripAdvisor or the first line to really understand the motivations and the work that these, whether it's a volunteerism or an ecotourism company, what are they actually doing in these spaces?
Right. Well, the movies, tell us our two movies so I make sure people can hear it.
Sure. The first one is The Clearing, and the second one is Thailand's Last Sea Nomads, or Born to Dive, I think is another title that's out there for that one.
Thank you so much for coming to the Wild and Scenic.
Yeah, thanks,
let's give it up for John Cannon, being a writer from Manga Bay. We're so happy to have you, and keep coming back with these important stories.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And we'll be right back at the Media Lounge in just a minute. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks.